the PDF downloads of the African Dialogues, Volumes 1 and 2 are in the links below the description of this video. Charles. We find that we come from different cultural backgrounds, and this may influence the way people sing the new. You will find that the Indians may have their own way of intoning the new sound and singing, using their own cultural background to sing the new. I had occasion to chant with a new friend. He has been doing some work with the new song, and he sent me one of his soundtracks. When you listen to it, he will incorporate other sounds with the new you singing. If people sing the new you song with some cultural orientation, will that destroy the effect of the new sound? Duane responds, I wouldn't say that would happen. The sound is what it is. It depends on the individual also, and how they utilize it, just like what Joni did with what Paul created, and that's where it becomes distorted. When people are sincere, that's the real connection to life itself. The new sound is just helping individuals along. It's when they start to take it and yield it a particular way, as it won't respond to that of the personal self. Each individual kind of feels their way along, blending it in with their culture, and it can be fine. That can be very workable accordingly, and it's the individual that decides if and how they're going to limit it. The new song is really something to share, like birds singing. Each bird has their own tune, with each different type of bird, but it's all workable. It's just learning to see how this is, and becoming aware of it, and again, It's awareness. As each person sings and utilizes it, they become more aware, and they figure it out. We've been so rehearsed in this world with the created systems of control. People have been brought up through certain things in a lifetime, that many times they go along with the traditional culture of things. These traditional cultures are controlling systems. This is where, as you become more aware, you start to discriminate. You start to see what's going on, and you make a decision. Again, what makes sense? It's an interesting challenge, but you're experiencing what these individuals are from other cultures, and I like to hear it. It's fine. It's more than hearing. Does it make sense? And also, is what they're doing with their lives making sense? There's a lot involved. The new you is all about becoming aware of the all is. The isness life is. We have certain ways of doing things in the United States and all over the world, but that doesn't matter. That's the personal self that the person is going through. It's like all of us are going to a summer camp, and our mothers dress us funny, puts on our clothes, etc. And we all have our own type of clothes, and it's all fine, as we're all going to the same destination. It's the same idea here. It's the focus that is required to recognize the is, and in the past this opportunity was given many times. What happens is that people start to create certain ideas and go into these other mediums that become self-limiting accordingly. Society goes a particular way, and so the church basically starts to align with it. First they don't, and there's resistance, and you may think in your mind. The church is resisting, but finally they give in, etc. The game is their game, and they give in because it makes people feel good, and this is an easy way to trap them to obey and have them be more obedient also. It's a trick. They let people sing in the churches, and this is how it's become over the years, to the point now where they even have rock and roll bands in there. They're going to allow this because it's going to draw other people, for the most part, who are unaware. You would think this is a good thing, people joining the church and the community, etc. Is it? It's a choice, but it's all drawn to the so-called gods of man, which is all control, and this is the difference with the new you. You can do the new you anywhere, but it's going to be manoeuvred in many different ways, and people are going to think about it in their own minds. Really, like the sun shining, the new you is its own indifference, and the sun again is the best example. Do you see? Some part of the sun that's going into the churches. It does go through the windows as the sun shines on everybody. But is it doing these funny things that people do? The music and culture is fine, but it starts to get strange after a while, so many times. So I'm not saying things aren't going to happen, as people are doing particular things. We've had people in the groups that all of a sudden take the ideas and the references and start to twist them into other things, like astrology, ceremonies, and celebrations. Then all of a sudden, this takes the attention off the reality that we're expressing here. So yes, live your life, do what you will, but the idea is that you're already a free being of light. You decide how to recognize that, and that's the whole idea. This life we're in here, and these 5 bodies, is a simulator. It's not a real life. To experience and recognize a real life is quite a journey, but you must decide from somewhere, like the caterpillar crawling across the ground, that decides to cocoon itself and become the butterfly. That's a big and scary decision. That's scary, and is why you have to be a risk taker for this. To go through this process, because it's not socially acceptable. If we just do things that are socially acceptable and feel good about those things, is that really it? Or is there something else? This is where it's brought out new all the time. Something new. And paying attention to that. Because it's this true reality that's not so much about creation. It is, but it isn't at the same time, and so it's about totally waking up and seeing everything. We're at the bottom of life here, and it's very easy to be self-convinced with everything we do. In a way, you have to test it. I remember many experiences in the corporation as an example, where the higher initiates would have meetings. A lot of the meetings would be a camp out, and the water wouldn't work with the rest rooms. It would shut off. Several of the people would have the experience that the flow was shut off. They realized that with the experience and how it was coming down into the physical sense itself, that they had shut off the flow, the connection to the real awareness and life, even though they were in the corporation and thinking everything's fine, but again. That's the personal self thinking that it's going to need to be tested to see. But the whole idea, like the sun shining, it's about recognizing the is. It's not so much about feeling good about everything, which is secondary, as that's your personal life, and you decide to add that to it. Like the sun shining, is it about feeling good? Is it about happiness or belief? Or is there really something else that's not seen? That's really the essence of it, and not all these procedures and ideas that we go through. So again, it's a fine line.